It's time now for the Morning Magazine, brought to you by Comfort Air Heating, Cooling, Plumbing.
Welcome, everyone, to Morning Magazine for this February 17th, 2021. Your host, James J. Malouf here. Thanks so much for joining us. In part two today at 10:30, we're going to speak with Kelly Brochart and Gail Shizik talking about child caring in Wisconsin. Right now, we have with us Wisconsin Rapids Mayor Shane Blaser, along with our friends from Wisconsin Rapids Community Media. We say hi to them, and we say good morning to the mayor. Good morning.
Good morning, James.
How you doing today?
I'm well. And yourself?
Good, good. Everybody holding up all right on your end?
Yeah. I'm just glad to see that some sun shining out there and the temperature a little warmer and kind of clear off our streets a little bit for us.
It is such a Midwest thing, especially a Wisconsin thing, when we get even in the teens, and all of us are excited. All of us are just in the same boat. It shows how badly we're itching for this warmer weather.
Well, like we were talking off air, waiting to see those people out in their shorts.
Yep, it's just a matter of time. That's, to me, one of the most interesting things to look forward to at this time of year is who the first person you'll see in shorts. We all know somebody who it could be. I have my questions. I have my wonders. But I wanted to talk with you about a couple things, Mayor. One of the things that I wanted to get to, I see that you guys had a common council meeting recently. How did that go?
It went well. We talked. The council approved an annexation behind the hockey rink to basically complete the quadplex project because part of it was in the city and part of it was in Grand Rapids. So that was done last night. On maybe a bit of a sadder note, we temporarily appointed somebody to sit in for District 6 because of a temporary vacancy, but hopefully he'll be back shortly and be able to get back on the business.
Yeah, wish the best with that. That's a kind of a crux situation to be in, especially during a pandemic, I imagine.
Yeah, it is. And, Alderman Kubiszak brought up a good point. There's only 8 of them, and so we need a certain amount of people to be present to be able to conduct meetings and cast votes. And so it's important that we have everybody be able to participate. And if somebody isn't, we want to respect them for that, but want to make sure we can still continue doing business.
And up until this point, you haven't had too many really monkey wrenches in that. You've been able to Zoom meet and those sorts of things.
That's correct. Yeah, we've seemed to be able to adjust pretty well, but looking forward to the day when we can all be back in the same room. It's easier to have a discussion and a debate when you're all kind of looking at each other.
And we all treat each other differently when we're in person as opposed to on the phone or on a Zoom or something like that. I see what you mean there.
Yeah, there's much greater accountability for what you say when you have to look at somebody and say it versus electronically.
Very much, very much. And that's important with everything in society right now is that accountability part and people being held to that in all ways, really. When it comes to the decision of why this is important, though, to have that seat filled, to have somebody in there for that, does that come down to simply, having an equal amount of people so that if something's tied or that sort of thing when it comes to voting and that?
Well, if it comes down to a tie, I have that tie-breaking vote.
Right.
But more importantly, I think it's about having that representation. So if I live in those districts, I want to be able to call my alderman and express my concerns and have them represented on the council. And if somebody's unable to do that, we want to make sure that those people have that opportunity. And so we did that last night.
Before taking your new position as the mayor and everything, were you on the board of the city council before that?
Correct. I represented District 8 for a term.
So you understand that world pretty well, and coming from that and everything. And I use that as a lead in to kind of let people know that they can apply and look into the City of Wisconsin Rapids board. And we're looking for committee and commission people. This is a really it's a good thing to do. It's certainly a great way to add to your community and everything. It feels like something that you would take a lot of pride in too. And I haven't been on something like this before, but immediately I think of something like that and being appointed to something like that. That I just thinking about it seems to create some pride.
Yeah, and I think we all have maybe an area of knowledge or expertise. And, if we can lend that to help out our communities by sitting on a board or commission, a lot of times it's not a large amount of time. Some are less, some are more, but, we can use those expertises to hopefully help benefit the greater good and be able to do that. And so that's what we're looking for. You can go out onto our Wisconsin Rapids website and go to boards and commissions, and there's a link out there. You can fill out an application. submit that maybe with a cover letter or resume, kind of explain your qualifications or area of interest, and then hopefully we can pair you with a board or commission and go from there. And
I know there's so many people out there that we hear from time to time. They say they want to put back into their community. They want to be, add to it. They want to do positive things in the community. This isn't something we often think of. There's just not. It doesn't happen very often. There's openings and that sort of thing. But to have something like this as an opportunity, this is one of the greater ways to really impact your community and to make a difference.
Yeah, and it's a requirement of a mayor and to appoint people to some of these positions. Sometimes it comes to the council member appointment also, but it's a struggle every mayor has to face, trying to find people interested.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought I would take the approach, and working with my executive coordinator assistant, Emily, in there, shout out to Emily, that we put together a website and an application to try to bring people to us instead of us trying to reach out to people and, make cold calls and hopefully find these people that are interested and make the whole process easier.
Yeah. It's a great idea. It's a fantastic idea, I think, especially nowadays where in this day and age, this particular time we're in right now where everybody's online. Everybody, I mean, virtually everybody is. If not everybody, everybody will be, especially before we wrap this pandemic up and everything. So you're going to have more people going there and going to the site. But I feel like you're going to get a lot more options, a lot more people to choose from this way, too.
Yeah, because I think every mayor tries to reach out to people they know because it's probably the easiest, and it's a good starting point. But here's an opportunity for people I don't know that might have an interest in something in the community that they can kind of come to us and say, I have this interest in this board or commission, and hopefully we can try to pair that. We need a vacancy, but in that to fill it, but.
This fits the theme of what you've done since you've been in this position too, though. Where I one of the first things that we talked about that I really gained a ton of respect for you about was you came into this realizing I don't know everything, and it's good to have people with different mindsets and think differently and everything. It's so easy to walk into a position like this and, like you said, just bring your friends on or people and everything, or like-minded people. That's the easy thing to do. And I don't have any problem necessarily with that because we've seen everybody do that in history as far as different positions in politics. But I like that you've done that you've taken this approach to this position where it's more about, yeah, I know some people, and I've been doing, I've been in public service for quite a while and everything, but I want to bring in different people. I want to bring in people like, you don't have anything against bringing in somebody you know,
right,
but you are also just as open-minded to bringing in people, like you said, people that you may not know, but would fit the position well.
Yeah, and you look at some of the boards and commissions, I'll use the library as an example. We have we have appointees on there, and, that's over $1 million of the city taxpayers' money in there. And so, you want to find people that have maybe a financial background or have some expertise that can lend some guidance on that board, because that board is directing, directing the staff, directing the future of the library. And my friend may not be the best person to sit there and do that for the betterment of the library.
Right. And that kind of leads me into the kind of candidates that we're looking for here. There are people out there listening that may not think that they'd be a good candidate, and they would be, or people out there that may think that they would make a good candidate. So I'd kind of, are there things that you're looking for from this person that when they are applying, like the type of people we're looking for?
Yeah, unfortunately or fortunately, to sit on a board or commission in Wisconsin Rapids, you have to be a resident of the city. And that's a priority. But I think, like I said, we all have a skill or an expertise, whether it be technology or financial or law, that, those type, or just a general interest in something, maybe you're very passionate about a library and you spend a lot of time there, and you have a lot of, expertise just on the operations of the library because you spend so much time there, that you can lend that to that board or commission. And those are the important things. I'm not interested in somebody that has maybe a single issue with a board or commission, because a lot of times single issues, once those are resolved, then what's next? And I think you just need to have a general interest in seeing something run better or done differently.
Yeah, having a passion is great, and having a wheelhouse is all a very good thing to be able to bring to the table as well. But you're so right. If you come into this with just one, thing you want to get done, what do you do after that? Yeah, so looking certainly looking for people, not discouraging anybody from
Nope,
applying,
definitely not.
but certainly it's not bad to come to the game with a little bit more, a little more on your plate there. WIRapids.org/appointments is where you can go. WIRapids.org/appointments, and encourage people to get in and apply on that. I also see that the city has been reviewing funding options for offset street construction and maintenance costs and that sort of thing. How's that going? I imagine that's going very smoothly and no problems at all, right? But
It's always about the battle of information. We have some nonprofits and churches that are concerned about what this could mean for them in the future, and I think it's important to know that we've fielded phone calls. Nonprofits and churches are not exempt from these special assessments, so what we're looking to change is we're hoping that'll also benefit them. So, I think some of the concern is that they're going to be strapped with some very large bills, and realistically, to me, we're not solving the problem here if that's what's happening, and so that's been a concern with people. And right now, this discussion is just starting. The engineering firm and the financial firm are developing the model. And so in a few months, that model will be presented to the city council. And at that point, it'll be debated whether or not this really is truly the best option, or do we keep special assessments? So it hasn't been decided that this is what we're going to do, and this is what we're left with. So, it's still going to be discussed, and, maybe at the end of the day, special assessments might still be the way to go. I personally don't think so, but I really want to see how that number really works out for residential, business, nonprofit, churches, and those type of things.
Can we, for those that don't know, kind of give people the difference between the two there?
Yeah. So when you have a street project come in front of your house, we as property owners pay a percentage or a per foot for whether it be concrete, asphalt, the utilities underneath, and that's spread out amongst the people on that street, and it's anywhere from $350,000 to $400,000 is what we are billed by our residents per year, and with the street utility, that would be spread out through the whole community. And I don't know what. I'll be curious to see what it is. Whether if I could pay $50 per year into this utility as a property owner, it's much better than getting that $8,000 to $12,000 special assessment bill. It may only happen once in my life, but I'd rather pay the $50 for the rest of my life.
Yeah,
I still wouldn't even come up to the equity of what it's going to cost to do a special assessment.
And when it comes to that breakdown, how does that? It seems like to me, at least coming into this as a layman and everything, that feels like that $50 that impacts and helps the community more than the single one. So I feel like that seems to be a little bit more beneficial tax dollar wise and that sort of thing, more leniency or a little more area, a little more wiggle room there.
Yeah, and I also think that when our engineers and the design staff in our engineering department, when they design projects, that those kind of things are factored into that design because they're very cautious on cost. There's nothing above and beyond. So by moving away from the special assessment model, we can maybe design a road and not worry as much about having to be concerned about the property owners and what that bill is going to be on them. And but on the other side, then we're all going to want our streets redone and all of our sidewalks redone because now that we don't have to pay for it. But they have a very good evaluation process on when a road is done. When our road's redone because the infrastructure needs to be replaced. There's maybe a lot of water main breaks on that because of how high the water line sits, and so there's a lot of factors that go into deciding that if a road's going to be redone or not. It's not just we're just going to pull one out of the hat this year, and so it's kind of a long evaluation process to make sure that it's done. That road truly is at its end of life, whether it be on the surface or the infrastructure.
And I imagine having to make that decision when a road is, because it isn't as if there's a calculator there telling you, there's only 5 miles left on this road before it needs to be redone. Yeah. That'd be wonderful if that had that, but it doesn't. Making that to call when a road needs to be worked on and when it doesn't, I imagine you got to be you have to go to a lot of different sources to make that decision.
Oh, absolutely. From our Paul at the street department, they do ride quality to talking to the utilities on they televise the sewer drains and checking to see if there's breaks and leaks and how many water main breaks have there been on that road. And so there's a lot of factors that go into
Yeah.
that, and then they decide if that's an appropriate road to redo or not.
When it comes to, 'cause I know that you like myself and many other people, you look at your area and you certainly can't help but compare to other areas and certainly ones that are similar and everything. And I know that I've done that with a number of different topics with our neck of the woods here and everything. But as far as infrastructure goes, I haven't done a whole lot of that until recently, and seeing like what's going through, what a lot of our southern states are going through with the weather change that they've had and everything that they certainly weren't prepared for, and they don't need to normally be. So that's a whole different scenario.
Yeah.
But it got me thinking about this. And as I'm driving around on our roads and those sorts of things, overall, we have we're pretty solid there as far as I'm concerned. And to be fair, I'm coming from a big city life where there, you go a block and you're going to run into a pothole or something like that.
Right.
Like, it's just a nightmare. So it's a little bit better to me than that. But overall, and looking at this from your perspective, how do you feel our infrastructure is? And do you think that we need to be putting more focus on that?
Yeah, if you talk to our engineering department, we are not replacing enough roads per year to cover all the roads that we have in the community. Will we ever realistically ever get to that point? I don't know. If we have an endless pot of money, then
Sure. Yeah.
maybe we could. But I think they have to evaluate the roads, and it really comes down to us. For most of us, it's ride quality. If we're riding and it's a pretty nice road, we're good with it.
Yeah.
We're not hitting potholes, and it's I continuously talk with our state legislatures, because I always say A Street when I'm around them, because we need A Street redone, and that should be a state project, and because we know that's probably one of the toughest roads in our community right now. But as for the rest of the roads, we're replacing what we can financially responsibly replace, and that's all we can do at this point.
The 8th Street thing is something I haven't heard brought up in a long time, but that's something that I think that has been in the back of a lot of our minds. So it's interesting to hear you say that. And as a state project, you're absolutely right. That is definitely something that should be a state project. I don't even think, to me, that feels like that shouldn't even be hard for them to sign off on. Just come to this area once, and you'll see what we're talking about, how important that street is, and why it could use the addition or the remodeling to it and what have you. But is that a project that behind the scenes, that's something that's been talked about for a while, or has been, kind of tossed around for a while?
Yeah, I think it has been. And I always try to keep it to the top of their mind also. So anytime I see them, I whisper A Street, and,
Right on.
it's something that, it is a priority. And I think they recognize it. Now it's trying to get the state to buy into it and believe that this is a priority project for the state.
Yeah.
It's definitely a priority for us, but in the grand scheme of the state, maybe not so much.
Is it something, as far as evaluating these roads and our infrastructure in general, is it one of those things where you do it like in the beginning, or I should say before winter and then after winter, because the effect that salt and all these different things has on our roads, and a million other things that I'm not mentioning?
Yeah, I think, I'm pretty sure they do that in the spring. They start looking for potholes and catch basins that may have been caught by a plow. And, those guys over there on that, and they've done a really great job this year. They've managed to knock out quite a few of those catch basins, and I heard today that they are working on a procedure on replacements and how that's going to look in the future, and which is really good to see, and I really support what they're doing over there.
We got about four or 5 minutes left, Mayor. Is there anything you wanted to touch on we didn't get a chance to?
Yeah, so I'm looking over here at Kevin, and Kevin on our website, he did a wastewater. A tour of our wastewater. They did, I believe, drone flights. They took a video tour, so you can go out on our website, out to the wastewater page, and actually get a tour of our wastewater facility. And I have not had a chance to watch it yet, but I'm looking forward to, because everybody that I have talked to has spoken very highly of it, and what a great job Kevin did. And it's very interesting, because it's not one of those pretty processes, but it's a very important process to make sure it's flowing in the right direction. And what they accomplished there to safely release that back into the environment is a really amazing thing. And it's quite a complicated task over there. And what the wastewater, the superintendent and his team has done over there, and to get that plant dialed in. And Kevin, so go out and watch a tour that Kevin put together, and it's actually a very interesting process.
Yeah, it's one of those things that is worth knowing about. You just never know when that kind of stuff is going to come up. Whether it's we have an election going on and there's something in there about that, or just basically knowing piping and that sort of thing goes very far. I come from a construction family, so I find it interesting just in general, anything like that. But I think it's important too for people to know. And it doesn't hurt when you got a great presentation, when it's done beautifully. And Kevin and the gang over there, don't tell them I said this, Mayor, but they're really good at what they do. I don't want them to get a big head.
No.
But between you and I really love the work that they do over there. As somebody, I try not to be over critiquing of many things in life. When it comes to entertainment or any kind of presentation like that, I can't help it. That's my world. I come from that world, and I tend to be a little bit, a little more cynical on that stuff. I cannot express enough how professional the work that they do at Wisconsin Rapids Community Media is, and how fortunate we are to have professional level work in this area. It's pretty cool. That's something that not everybody has, and we're really fortunate to. So not only is it really informative to check that video out, you're going to enjoy it. I think it's just a fun presentation, just seeing the view. Again, don't tell Kevin I said that they're good at what they do. I don't want them to. We got contracts coming up soon and everything, and I'm going to have to get him his own room and stuff.
Yeah, he's going to need his own wardrobe.
But seriously, though, it is really good work that they do. And that video, I'm looking forward to checking that out too. Where can people find that?
Yep, you can find it on the wastewater page on the city's website. And between Kevin and Joe, the work that they do over there is just amazing. This past year, they have put out some really good programming and put together some really good package there for us to all view and watch. And
one of the things that I've been nothing but blessed doing the morning magazine. I've gotten a chance to meet so many people I didn't know and find out so much about this area that I had no idea about. And I've been couldn't express how much it means to me knowing all that stuff. But one of the things that I thought was so interesting is early on talking with people like Terry from the United Way and hearing how they work with other nonprofits and how they behind the scenes especially, they'll talk about things and like, well, we're going to cover this, you guys cover that. And instead of this kind of crabs in a barrel thing where everybody's fighting, everybody working together. And to me, it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen as far as a community. And I think it's very cool. I also think that there's something with that for us in the media, whether it's us here in sound and in radio, those guys in Wisconsin Rapids Community Media doing the visual end of things, and our friends we talk to at the City Times and in print. The three of us working together more and collaborating more and doing more together. That's something that Kev and me and Joe have talked about, and I know I've talked with Heather about at the Times, that we look forward to doing more of as we go forward here and things open up a little bit more and we can be around each other more to meet, to talk about this stuff. I feel like that's we're really blessed in this area to have the different formats we do to reach people. So we should take advantage of that and work together more. And I think you're going to see more of that. I think that going forward, you definitely will. It's just kind of a cool thing to be able to do and to have in this area. I wanted to let people know how they can, again, apply for the positions we were talking about earlier as far as being on the board. Again, you can go to wirapids.org/appointments. That's wirapids.org/appointments, and wirapids.org is the city's website. And Mayor, we always appreciate the time from you. I know how busy you are. Most importantly, I want to thank you for everything you're doing for the community. We appreciate you. Keep up the great work. Stay safe out there. And we're looking forward to talking again real soon.
I appreciate it, James. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And a big thank you to our friends at Wisconsin Rapids Community Media, Kev, Joe, everybody over there. We appreciate you. We will talk with you more in just a few with more Morning Magazine right here on AM 1320 WFHR.